Hi everyone, this is my submission for the course project on human factors in AI. So the problem that we are trying to handle is how employee skilling can become more personalized and relevant and automated by using AI, right? So today employee skilling is based on a lot of manual activities and doesn't really consider the personalized attributes of any employee, and that is something that can be solved by machine learning. So what are the task analysis that comprises of this particular use case, right? So the use case here is that the employee's current skills, strengths, potential improvement areas, and what is the current position or designation of the employee, and what is his or her future aspirations. All of that will be fed into a machine learning model, and the system will then recommend learning courses and hands-on projects and assignments that can be taken up by the employee to upskill himself or herself, right? So there is no specific trigger as such, because employee learning and hands-on projects should be a continuous process, right? But the goal is to ensure that the employees are upskilled, right? The ML system will basically take a decision to provide personalized recommendations based on the user's data that is fed, and the tools that will be required as part of this use case is basically the data that is stored in any human capital management system and the corresponding modules in the human capital management system that have the latest data on the employee, right? What are some of the key considerations for the user experience design? So in this case, the end user are basically employees of an organization that will be provided recommendations, and these employees can actually view, access, complete or reject any recommendation, right? So any future recommendations will be based on the interaction data that should be feedback looped into the product, right? So for example, if an employee rejected a particular learning course recommendation, it should not show up again in the future as part of the recommendation, right? So what are the user inputs? The user inputs in this case will be the details of the employee stored in the human capital management systems. This could be the org chart or the succession model, as well as the employee's current skill sets and the feedback of the manager, right? For new employees, in order to avoid the cold start problem, inputs can be collected from the employees as to what are their skills and what are their improvement areas, and this has to be also appended with the feedback collected from the manager, right? But the system also needs to keep accounting for changing preferences or aspirations. So to account for that, our ML system will be continuously fed with updates based on the clickstream data of the user, so that the system is up to date on the user preferences and changing aspirations. Transparency: in order to provide transparency, in attributes that will be used will be to ensure that no two different employees are being provided with dissimilar recommendations, right? If they have similar background and aspirations, they should be provided the similar recommendations. In terms of communicating uncertainty, employees will be shown some details on why certain recommendations were shown to them, right? It could be because of certain priority that is provided to some of the factors, and these will be communicated subtly on the user experience or the user experience flow to avoid any confusions. So moving to privacy considerations, this use case could contain multiple personally identifiable information, right? And hence all data privacy and protection laws should be satisfied. Other data such as the employee skills, designations, aspirations, and what are the learnings completed are indirectly identifiable info. But consent is something that is key, so that every user provides consent that his or her data is being used to provide relevant recommendations, right? And all data must be stored as per the geographical and regulatory privacy laws. There are specific laws based on different industries, right? So all those industry norms must be accounted for to ensure that there is no privacy issues. And the GDPR will be considered for all European aspects, but also adherence to other compliance regulations in other regions also must be considered. Lastly, coming to ethical considerations, there could be historical bias or representational bias given the data on courses and project recommendations based on historical data, as well as biased based on representations. So feedback loop is also another bias that could potentially happen. So in order to ensure this kind of ethical considerations, mitigate these, what we have to do is ensure that the core objective is employee upskilling, right? And that has to be adhered to. Recommendations will be a part of the employee upskilling and not the only avenue for employee upskilling, right? Best practices have to be followed to continuously test and check for issues and biases, and continuously analyzed and monitored, right? Fairness goal has to be strictly maintained. So in our case, the fairness will be measured to check if similar employees with similar backgrounds and aspirations are given similar recommendations around learning and projects or not. Transparency based on values attributed to factors will determine the recommendations, and that will be subtly and clearly stated on the UI. Accountability will be with the employee experience and upskilling team, which usually in many organizations are the HR team, and continuous feedback loops will be established to reduce any biases. Thank you.